Hello, friends. I know it's been a while, but I am back. There's been something going on in my life. If you stick around to the end, I will be straight up with you and explain what's going on. But in the meantime, I do have a big pickup to share and also some tips to look out for as far as eBay auctions and how you can possibly save quite a bit of money on a really nice looking card. So stick around and check it out.
Hello, boys! I'm back!
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am the 3D 80s kid. Hello, friends. Today is a great day to talk about baseball cards, and I have got a really big card to share. But before I get to that, I want to share something I got recently in the mail, a big, awesome care package from David over at Peacemaker Cards, which I imagine by now I've popped up his channel on the screen. The link for him will be down below. Great guy who wrote me a letter that said he watched my last video about my 80s Hall of Fame collecting, and he had an extra copy of one of the cards that I wanted, and he just, out of the blue, sent it to me for free, and that would be this 89 Topps Barry Larkin, which he has collected one in a 10 as he is a big Cincinnati Reds guy, so that is his primary PC, and so he sent me this 9, which is still gorgeous. You know, I can't see the difference between a 9 or a 10. I think even if I put my reading glasses on.
Every week your eyesight gets worse.
So this one will look great. Obviously I'm going to have to remedy the situation of the slab it's in. Even though, in this case, this would be one of the few cases where I think the PSA red and white does the card justice. It's kind of, in a way, doing the color match thing like HGA tried to innovate into the space when they came about. I've got a couple old examples of my first year back in the hobby that I got graded where they do the color matching of the label. And in this case, that red and white hospital band look of PSA actually matches the card. So, but I'm an SGC guy, clearly behind me.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
So, but thank you, David, that you totally didn't have to do that out of the blue. I really appreciate the sentiment. And it's just awesome when people are inspired to just, do that. Just gift somebody something in this community. That's, one of the biggest reasons why I love all of you guys and all this so much. So,
okay, well, again, thanks very much, Dave.
But let's get to my main topic, and that is I picked up a really big card, which actually, was about a month ago when I stopped with my video production, but now I'm getting to show it. And the case here is that I've been tracking this card for quite a while. It was a huge gaping hole in my Hall of Fame player run that had to be filled, and I found a gorgeous card that ultimately was the one I have got. But prior to that, I had actually lost auctions of cards with similar but not even as good of a look, and I lost them with higher bids. And that brings me to a case of how can you find some bargains that slip through the cracks of eBay? And that would be a case where there are two big things that I look for. I have my whole list of cards that are kind of on my near want list, and I have tons of eBay searches, one for each one. So I'm kind of following the card market for all the cards I'm trying to get. And, until I find the one that lines up as far as getting it for the price I want and the look I want, because I want my cards to all look good for my display behind me. And one of the big mistakes that some sellers occasionally make, most of your vintage sellers are the better at doing quality listings, but a mistake they can make is having an auction that doesn't end during the prime hours. And that was the case of this recent auction ending. It ended in the morning of a weekday, which if you are trying to sell your cards and you want to maximize the value, or then you want to avoid doing that. You want to sell during those hours, probably timing it where it is after 5 p.m. on the West Coast. And so then you'll catch the 8 p.m. East Coast and you get the whole United States outside of work for the most part. And I know most people are on, the 8 to 5, 9 to 5 type of schedule. And that is going to get the most eyeballs for when that auction ends. And a lot of people still, aren't Gixxon users like myself. and they are there for the actual end of the auction to click for their bid. And so those weekday auctions, you get cases where there's not a lot of action on those, and that's one of the factors that contributed to my bargain for this card. And the other thing that I also like to look for is when they start, the minimum bid for an auction amount actually falls within the tolerance range of what you see for past sales of that card. Because what ends up happening is it kills the action on bidding of the card. This is a case where I got this card for the minimum bid ultimately, between having it in the morning and the sale price already being kind of in the bottom part of the range of what this card goes for. And despite the fact that I feel like this one is kind of a higher end for the grade it's actually in, I got it for the lower end because there was no action at all. And, you know, I've drugged this out long enough, but here is my recent pickup. The 1955 Topps Jackie Robinson, which I've seen a few videos lately. There's others in the community that have picked up this card as well because it's gorgeous. And I got this one that is really nicely centered. It's just perfect clarity, coloring. I am over the moon with how gorgeous this copy of the card is. And I was able to get it for $500, which, if you haven't been pricing Jackie Robinson's card, this is at the bargain side of buying one at a 4 grade. The previous one where I said I lost an auction was actually for a good-looking 3 that was not as good-looking as this, and I lost that auction with a higher bid than that 500. I think my final bid was like 520 something that was beaten. And then I am so glad I lost that auction, because then I would have never have been looking still for this one. And this one is just so gorgeous. I am so excited that I was able to land this card, and especially at the price point that I did, because, you know, back, if you longtime viewers, if you saw when I was going over my Hall of Fame plan, I had priced out that a good-looking 3, I was estimating at the time I could get for somewhere in the neighborhood of $475 was my guesstimate. And so the fact that I was able to get this absolutely gorgeous 4 for $500, oh my, yes. Huge, full hole in my collection filled with having now Jackie Robinson.
Glorious. Glorious.
To me, the most important athlete basically in U.S. history in terms of culturally. Everyone knows why. We don't have to explain Jackie Robinson. If you're watching this video, you know all about Jackie Robinson. So, but what a card. So, but as a result of picking this one up finally, and now comparing it to the other 55 Topps card I owned, it is causing a chain reaction of me changing some cards in my set, because the other 55 card I owned was this Hal Newhouser. And the whole, ultimately, with them both on the wall and seeing them both with yellow, I decided I need to change things up and get a different example from 55, which then also causes a ripple effect, because Hal Newhouser does not have a lot of cards. In fact, his mainstream cards would only consist of the very expensive 49 leaf rookie card, and because it's a short print is why it ends up being expensive, as well as then a 53 Topps, which it turns out is also short printed but not nearly as expensive. I should be able to get one that looks decent in a 53 Topps for somewhere over $100, maybe $150, somewhere in that vicinity. I think I even followed an auction recently of a 6 in that 53 card. I think it was REA that sold for around $150, but it was kind of OC. So I wasn't really keen on getting that one as far as how OC it was. But, it won't be a huge obstacle to switch him up to 53, which then also causes chain reactions of my plans for 53 and so forth. But that'll be another video. So
Save it for later, Willie.
Preview of what's to come here in video land here for me. But so to talk about why I've been away, let me just be straight up with you. What happened recently is that my wife has had a test where she came up positive for breast cancer. And before you get really alarmed there, at least it was caught super early to the point where it is deemed to be stage 1A, which, all the stats say that is upper 90% survival rate. So, but still, you hear the C word, and you're afraid. It's the person that I expect to spend the rest of my life with, that I met on October 7th. I know the exact day. I met her October 7th of 1992. We both lived in the freshman honors dorm of the college we went to. Freshman honors basically means you got at least a certain GPA in high school and a certain SAT score, and then you were eligible for this college's special scholarship, and you had the opportunity to choose to live in the freshman honors dorm, where it was all basically high school nerds. So, I've known her ever since then. We've been together ever since that moment we first met, and I'm scared. I did not want to make a video or it's become hard to do anything, to motivate myself to do anything. I feel just frozen with the stress, the fear. If any of you out there have been going through any of this with cancer with yourself or anyone you love, I'm very sorry. It's not a good situation, and it's difficult to handle. We expect a positive outcome. We have a plan lined out with everything, with doctors, that she's supposed to have a surgery for removal of what they found, as well as radiation treatments. She doesn't apparently fit the profile to need chemo, according to them, so we won't have to go through that. But, if anybody has been dealing with anything to do with cancer, I'm very sorry. It's scary. And, I don't wish this on anyone. So, my final message to all of you is tell the people you love that you love them every day. Give them lots of hugs, give them kisses if it's your significant other, and just embrace the time you have with everyone you love around you. So with that, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next time.